In a photograph from a 1968 Sears catalog, a kitchen comes into view with a refrigerator, a range, and a built-in dishwasher, all in a shade that the catalog calls Harvest Gold. The color is vivid, warm, and unmistakably specific to its decade. In most accounts of American design history, Harvest Gold ends there, as a visual punchline for a particular aesthetic moment. But the actual history of standardized appliance colors is not a design story. It is a logistics story, and its ending is not a design evolution. It is a service infrastructure collapse that happened too slowly to be noticed until after the damage was done. Understanding the standard requires understanding what the appliance industry looked like in the 1950s and 1960s, before color became a product differentiator. The post-war appliance market was dominated by white. White was not a design preference. White was a manufacturing default. Porcelain enamel on steel was the standard finishing process for kitchen appliances. Porcelain enamel in white was chemically simpler and less expensive than colored formulations. Equipment manufacturers standardized on white because it was the cheapest durable finish that could survive the thermal cycling of ovens and the moisture exposure of refrigerators. White also had a cultural valence. It read as clean, sanitary, and institutional. These were qualities the post-war consumer associated with modern domestic technology. The entire national appliance fleet was white, which meant that service parts were simple. A door gasket for a refrigerator could serve hundreds of models across dozens of brands. A replacement door panel for a range came in one color. The parts inventory at a regional appliance distributor covered the whole market. A repair technician with a standard parts kit could service most of the appliances in a neighborhood. The infrastructure that made appliances repairable was built on the assumption of a single dominant finish. Then the color programs arrived. General Electric introduced colored appliances in the mid-1950s as premium options in its product lineup. The reasoning was commercial. Consumers who were willing to pay more for a refrigerator were also willing to pay for color as a design statement. The first color program introduced a limited palette: pink, turquoise, yellow, and a soft green joined white as options in the GE product line. The limited palette was a deliberate constraint. More colors meant more SKUs. More SKUs meant more inventory across the manufacturing and service supply chains. The early color programs maintained manageable palette sizes precisely because the manufacturers understood the supply chain implications of color proliferation. Whirlpool and Frigidaire followed GE into color, and the market for premium colored appliances grew through the late 1950s and early 1960s. By the mid-1960s, the industry had settled into a pattern. White remained the dominant volume product. A small set of named colors served the premium market. And the color set turned over every 5 to 8 years as design trends shifted. Harvest Gold entered the standard palette in the late 1960s. Avocado Green followed shortly after. Both colors were introduced as premium options and quickly became the dominant color choice for the segment. By the early 1970s, a Harvest Gold kitchen was not unusual. It was the modern American kitchen. The appliance industry had managed to make color a standard without making it chaotic. The palette was limited. The dominant colors were shared across manufacturers. A service parts distributor carrying Harvest Gold door panels, gaskets, and handle hardware could serve most of the major brands. The logic of the color standard was not declared. It was emergent. Manufacturers independently chose similar colors because the market research pointed in the same direction. The practical result was an informal standard that made the service and parts ecosystem workable. A regional appliance service company in 1974 could stock Harvest Gold, Avocado, and white parts and cover the vast majority of service calls in any market. This worked because the color decisions of the major manufacturers were roughly synchronized. Then the marketing logic shifted. In the early 1980s, almond-toned appliances began displacing Harvest Gold. Almond arrived not as an industry-coordinated standard, but as a color differentiation play by specific manufacturers. Whirlpool moved to almond aggressively. GE offered almond as a contemporary alternative to white. Frigidaire maintained its own version of the tone. The problem was that the three companies' almond finishes were not the same color. Each manufacturer had its own proprietary almond formulation. A Whirlpool almond refrigerator and a GE almond dishwasher in the same kitchen did not match. The service parts implications were immediate. A replacement door panel for a Whirlpool almond range did not fit the color of a GE almond installation. The regional parts distributor now needed separate almond inventories for each major brand. The SKU count multiplied by a factor of 3 or 4 relative to the clean color standard era. But this was still manageable. Almond replaced Harvest Gold rather than supplementing it. The installed base of Harvest Gold appliances was large, but was aging out of service. The transition was uncomfortable, but not chaotic. The introduction of stainless steel changed the structure of the problem entirely. Stainless steel appliances had existed in commercial kitchen contexts for decades. The finish was durable, easy to clean, and resistant to thermal and moisture damage. But stainless steel is substantially more expensive than porcelain enamel on steel. In the mid-1990s, premium kitchen appliance brands including Sub-Zero, Viking, and Wolf began marketing commercial-grade equipment to residential consumers. The commercial aesthetic was the selling point. Stainless was part of that aesthetic. By 2000, stainless had moved from specialty to mainstream in the premium appliance segment. By 2005, GE, Whirlpool, and Frigidaire had all launched substantial stainless product lines. By 2010, stainless was the dominant visual aesthetic in American kitchen renovation. The shift to stainless was not just a color change. It was a material change. Porcelain enamel and stainless steel are different materials with different maintenance requirements, different damage failure modes, and different repair characteristics. A chip in porcelain enamel is a service problem that requires color-match touch-up or panel replacement. A scratch in stainless is a surface problem that can sometimes be buffed, but often requires panel replacement. Neither repair is simple, but the parts infrastructure for porcelain enamel repairs had been built over 50 years. The parts infrastructure for stainless appliance repairs was built from scratch in the early 2000s, and stainless parts are proprietary in a way that porcelain enamel parts were not. The stainless surface finish on a GE appliance is a specific grain, thickness, and treatment. A replacement panel from Whirlpool will not match it. The interbrand parts compatibility that had characterized the white and Harvest Gold eras was structurally impossible in the stainless era. Stainless parts are brand-specific, which means the service supply chain for stainless appliances is brand-specific. A regional service company that once stocked white, Harvest Gold, and Avocado for all brands now stocks stainless panels for GE, for Whirlpool, for LG, for Samsung, and for each sub-brand in each lineup. The SKU explosion is measurable. Industry trade group studies in the 2010s found that parts SKU counts for exterior panel components had increased by roughly tenfold compared to the color standard era. This had a direct effect on parts availability. A regional service company carrying finite shelf space could not stock all the brand-specific stainless panels for all the currently sold models. The practical result was longer wait times for parts, more out-of-warranty repairs that exceeded the economic threshold for the consumer, and more appliances discarded as unserviceable before the end of their mechanical working life. The mechanical life of an appliance had not declined. The cosmetic serviceability of an appliance had become dramatically more expensive and less accessible. Consumer behavior shifted in response. When a refrigerator door panel is dented or scratched, the repair cost in the stainless era is typically high enough relative to a new refrigerator price that many consumers choose replacement. In the white and Harvest Gold eras, a door panel repair was a parts call and a service visit. The mechanical appliance behind the panel was not implicated in the cosmetic damage. In the stainless era, cosmetic damage to the exterior triggers a full product replacement decision. The appliance underneath may be fully functional. The face of it is no longer serviceable at a reasonable cost. The kitchen renovation market accelerated this dynamic. Stainless steel is a current aesthetic tied to a specific period of design taste. An older stainless refrigerator in a renovated kitchen may show wear in a way that mismatches the renovation freshness. In the white era, an older appliance in a renovated kitchen was still white. In the stainless era, An older appliance may have a different grain or sheen that no longer matches the design intent of the renovation. The replacement cycle shortened, not because the appliances were failing, but because the service infrastructure that would have kept them looking acceptable had not scaled to match the SKU complexity of the new color world. The hidden infrastructure that standardized colors had built was visible only when it was gone. A technician in 1972 showing up to repair a dented Harvest Gold refrigerator door had a high probability of having the right color panel on the truck. A technician in 2015 showing up to repair a dented stainless GE refrigerator knew the panel had to be ordered, had to be the correct GE submodel stainless variant, and had to match the current refrigerant cycle grade of the finish. The parts call that used to be same week became a 3-week wait. The repair that used to cost $150 now cost $400. The consumer who used to say fix it now said replace it. The color change had seemed purely cosmetic. It had dismantled a service logistics infrastructure that most consumers had never seen. The current appliance market offers an extraordinary range of finishes. Fingerprint-resistant stainless, black stainless, slate, matte black, panel-ready refrigerators that disappear behind custom cabinetry. Each new finish is a new service inventory challenge for the parts ecosystem. The proliferation reflects a marketing logic. Appliance finishes are now positioned as fashion items. The replacement cycle is the revenue model. The Harvest Gold refrigerator was meant to last 20 years. It had a parts ecosystem designed to support a 20-year life. The current market assumes a replacement cycle of 8 to 12 years. The parts ecosystem is organized accordingly. It is not simply designed for a 20-year appliance. It cannot support one. What happened to appliance colors is not a style story. It is the story of what happens when marketing logic and manufacturing logic come into conflict. Marketing logic says, differentiate the product, sell the aesthetic, update the line. Manufacturing logic says, standardize the components, share the parts supply chain, reduce inventory complexity. In the color standard era, manufacturing logic won at the component level because white appliances were cheaper to make. When color became premium, marketing logic temporarily took over, but the limited palettes held the supply chain together. When stainless arrived with proprietary finishes, marketing logic won entirely. And the manufacturing logic that had quietly sustained the service ecosystem for 40 years was dismantled without announcement. No one issued a press release noting that regional appliance service companies would now need to carry 10 times as many parts SKUs. No one informed consumers that the replacement cost of a cosmetically damaged appliance panel had increased by a factor of 3. The marketing brochure showed the kitchen. It showed the light on the stainless surface. It did not show the parts catalog. The consumer who wanted that kitchen bought the stainless appliances. 8 years later, the same consumer found that a dented door panel on a fully functional refrigerator made replacement the rational choice. Not because the refrigerator was broken, but because the infrastructure to repair the face of it was no longer built to match the way it had been sold. Harvest Gold was never beautiful. Its logic was not aesthetic. It was a standardized component in a service system built for durability. When aesthetics replaced that logic, the durability system went with it. The replacement cycle that followed was not planned. It was the consequence of a marketing decision that had supply chain consequences no one in the marketing department was responsible for solving. The service technician who used to arrive with the part on the truck now arrives with a tablet to order it. The 3-week wait is not a supply chain failure. It is the supply chain functioning as designed for a market organized around replacement rather than repair. That organization was built when the color catalog got long. When Harvest Gold became almond, became stainless, became black stainless. Each transition was a product line update. Each transition was also a quiet restructuring of the service logistics that made the previous product generation worth keeping. The appliances behind the finishes are as durable as they have ever been. The finishes in front of them are less serviceable than they have ever been. The practical result is a product that is mechanically robust and cosmetically disposable. That combination is not an accident. It is the design consequence of a color strategy that optimized for sales over the following 5 years rather than service over the following 20. The Harvest Gold refrigerator in the 1968 photograph is probably still running somewhere. Finding a matching replacement handle for it today would take 2 days of searching and a specialty parts sourcing call. Finding a matching replacement handle for it in 1985 would have taken 1 phone call. The refrigerator did not change. The color catalog did. And the catalog decided what kind of service life the refrigerator was allowed to have. That is the hidden logic of appliance colors. Not what they look like, but what their existence costs, the service infrastructure that keeps them in the field. The color that made the kitchen was never really about the color. It was about the supply chain decision that picked one shade and stuck with it long enough for the parts ecosystem to grow around it. When that decision was replaced by a decision that picked many shades and changed them often, the parts ecosystem could not follow. And the refrigerators that were mechanically sound stopped being financially worth repairing. The logic of standardization was not romantic or intentional. It was simply the outcome of multiple manufacturers making the same commercial calculation at the same time and arriving at the same color. When they stopped making the same calculation, the standard dissolved, and the service infrastructure that had grown inside it dissolved with it. The service technician who knew which panel fit which refrigerator without looking it up was not performing a feat of memory. They were operating in a system designed to be remembered. When that system was replaced by a system designed to be searched, the knowledge became a database query, and the database query took 3 weeks and cost $250 more. And the refrigerator that was worth fixing became the refrigerator that was replaced.